financial services we use almost daily in our life. From withdrawing cash from ATM to making purchases of goods and services using credit cards. But to 14 million unbanked population in Thailand, taking business loans is something they can't even dream of. But this is when limited law comes in. By taking and by giving cheap and easy credits to these people, we see limited law as a savior who removes them from the vicious cycle of ever falling prey to local moneylenders and loan sharks around Thailand.
Good morning, honorable judges. I am Tita Pa. This is Donde. This is Chopka. And together we are the protagonists. Our goal for today is to help the law transform itself into a one-stop financial service provider that empowers the life of more than 40 million Thais who currently lack access to financial services. And in order to do that, we believe that Nguyen Law needs to stick with its core value of providing relevant, simple, and convenient financial services to its clientele, while differentiating and adding into its portfolio to gain higher market share. Let us now look at the competitive environment to understand key issues that are facing Nguyen Law today.
Ladies and gentlemen, suppose you are very thirsty and you know for a fact that there are 2 shops selling bottled water for you. However, the shop closer to you is selling the water at a higher price. Another shop that is selling water at a lower price is very far away. Which shop would you buy water for? I suppose it would be the shop closer to you, right? Because you are thirsty. This is the problem facing the law today. Because the people whom the law targets, those unbanked and underbanked population, they are thirsty for money. They need the cash right now. So they don't care about how much interest rate they have to pay. What they care about is how much money and how quickly they could get it. Therefore, we think that Nguyen Law, having seen declining market share in the last 3 years, year-on-year growth, we think that the problem is that Nguyen Law cannot deliver this kind of value proposition to the customer that could give the most instant money available in the market. Therefore, we think that Nguyen Law has to differentiate its loan product in such a way that is relevant to these customers and make it as fast as possible. More importantly, right, we think that Nguyen Law does not only have to serve the customer in the credit segment, because these unbanked population have low and irregular income. But they still have the simple basic financial needs that most other people do, including savings, including transactions, including making payments. These things are what these unbanked and underbanked populations don't have access to, only because the banks are not willing to serve these customers. Therefore, we think the institutions like Nguyen Law have to come in and substitute the formal financial services to bring these people into a formal financial system, expanding financial inclusion into Thailand, which is a philosophical goal of Nguyen Law as it tries to reposition itself into. And this is what we try to solve today. So to summarize, we think that the 3 key issues we try to propose today are, number 1, to solve customer experience so that we retain the market share we currently have in the credit market. Second is about financial inclusion, which we try to expand by creating new products. And third is about the employee quality, which we try to improve our operations so that we can expand without sacrificing the quality of our services.
To effectively help Nguyen Law achieve its goal as stated, we need to ask 3 questions. Firstly, how can Nguyen Law differentiate its loan product to make it more special than competitors? And secondly, what services can Nguyen Law create to expand its financial inclusion? And lastly, how does Nguyen Law optimize its operation to make its business more profitable without having to impose a higher cost onto customers? To answer these questions, we give you create the moment, present the choice, rejoice the mass. And this is how we create the moment. The first issue that we need to solve is the perception of customer that everyone is the same. They want to get whichever one that offers them the most money in the shortest time. Therefore, Nguyen Law can differentiate by creating the perfect end-to-end customer journey, starting from the 0 moment when customers are searching for the product, and their first moment, the process of purchasing, and lastly, the second moment, the period after the purchase. The 0 moment concept comes from the reality that most customers don't really know which specific brand they want when they search online for products. They only look for the most relevant product that solves the problem. In this way, Nguyen Law needs to be at the place and times customer really needs money. Imagine a customer getting into the hospital and they need the money to cover for all the expenses. This type of expenses unpredictable, leading to shortage of money. Then the law will be there and present our loans as the knight in shining armors. This can be done through the poster board in the hospital. And for farmers who are actually our target customer, when the growing season comes, we send the SMS notification to remind them that we are there to help. In this way, we surpass our competitors because we are present to the customer and that we are there to offer the solution that they need at the right time. Then the law can gain higher market share and also be perceived as their special help in the mind of consumers. Now, once the customer applies for the loan, then the law needs to create the simplest and most convenient experience possible. This can be done through Ngantik Law Touch. Our application allows customers to know instantly how much money they will get just by taking the photo of the vehicles from the application. And after that, they can know exact interest payment details and when they have to make them in the application. Furthermore, within 10 minutes, our customer service will call the clients to answer any questions that they may have. This creates a higher likelihood of purchase. And not only that, with the law database, customers can look for the branch that offers them cash in real time. This feature can compete with loan sharks who are able to give out cash immediately. The loan becomes quicker, and the satisfaction of having gone through the process in one sitting leaves a higher impression to customers. However, there may be some customers who don't want to download the application. We have Line official account to offer the ability to know instantly how much money they can get from the card. And for Facebook, customers using Facebook logging into the Ngantik Law Touch, we have the basic information to process the loan faster and give the customer the interest rate estimation. But first, we need to get the application to our customers' hands. We use goals as an incentive. There are 3 steps involving different levels of engagement. The first one is get the app, get the goal. And if the customer wants a higher chance of winning, they are required to take the photo of the vehicles from the application. And lastly, if they can get to sign up using Facebook account, they have an even higher chance of winning the goal. And lastly, the second moment where Ngantik Law can offer the flexibility to existing customers in order to retain the market share. The problem is that with cars and trucks, Ngantik Law customers need to wait at least 3 days to really get the cash they need. This makes Ngantik Law less attractive than loan sharks. So we propose that Ngantik Law offer a credit line. With this feature, customers can apply the loan whenever they have time without having to pay interest until they withdraw the money. And once they are in need of cash, they know that they have this credit line to support them. We can eliminate and compete with loan sharks due to their flexibility nature of credit line that hasn't been offered before.
So to summarize, the first recommendation tries to answer to how Ngantik Law can expand its loan business, expand its credit portfolio to include even more people. But moving on to our second and even more important goal of expanding financial inclusion around Thailand, we think that the law has to present the choice of relevant financial products to these customers so that they are less financially vulnerable in the country. We think that one of the most important segments that the law has to target is the unbanked and underbanked population. This represents 14 million people and several million people more on top of that who are the most financially vulnerable in the country. These people would like to have access to the formal banking services, but because of their situations, for example, because of the lack of their financial knowledge, because of the lack of their regular and high income, they do not have access to the formal financial services. However, they still need this kind of service, and therefore we think the law has to substitute the bank, and one of the things we propose is making the law a platform for transferring money across the country. Why? Because the characteristic of this unbanked population is that most of them would reside around the country, around in rural area, but they also come to work in Bangkok, in other cities like this for higher income. However, they would like to transfer this money back to their home, to their families, to their relatives to use, but because they don't have a bank account, they don't have access to the reliable and fast way to transfer the money around the country. So if we can act as a platform for this, we can solve the problems of a lot of Thai people. So what are we trying to do? What we're trying to do is give a way for these people to reliably, quickly, and costlessly transfer the money around the country. The process is twofold. Suppose there are two people, Mr. A and Mr. B. Mr. A is an unbanked population who comes to work in Bangkok, but Mr. B is a person who lives in rural area. Suppose now that Mr. A would like to transfer X amount of money to Mr. B. What he has to do today is he has to bring the money back to Mr. B himself. But with our Limited Law platform, Mr. A just walk to a Limited Law branch close to him and tell our employee that he wants to send Mr. B, let's say, 1,000 baht. Our employee will notify Mr. B by sending a text message or line message to Mr. B's phone, and also notify a branch, an Limited Law branch, that is close to Mr. B. What Mr. B has to do is that he then has to take his national ID card or any other thing that can verify his identity and go to the Limited Law branch that is close to him. Then Mr. B can just take the money like that, very simply, very conveniently, very quickly. We will promote this kind of feature using two kinds of marketing channels. The first one, promote inside the cities. These are the target for these marketing communications are those rural unbanked population who come to work in a city. So we think that we have to target the place where they are working. So we would go to factories, we would go to the Department of Labor where they're seeking job, and we also promote it through our official line account. But to those people who reside in rural areas still, we would promote through Pu Yai Ban or headmen of the villages. We can ask them to help us promote this kind of feature so that the people inside their village, inside their localities have better financial improvements. But our second and more important product is insurance. Because the law currently has, we believe, a comprehensive suite of insurance products offered to these relevant customers. But one thing that we can take care about is simplicity of these products. Because even though we, us together, are financially literate, we still find insurance policies to be extremely difficult to understand. So we think that to simplify or to ease up the process of applying for insurance product will be a very, very good help for these people. What we will do is that we will give away the basic insurance premiums like PPI to those customers who come to take the loan from us, which is what the law is already doing already today. But what we do further is that an employee will upsell these insurance products by asking for the specific needs of each customer. For example, if a customer needs coverage for their family protection, do they want the coverage for their cars? Do they want the coverage outside? Do they want income compensation? Things like this. And then our employee will choose a suitable policy for them immediately. And then the only thing that the customer has to become aware of is what kind of policy they are taking and how much premium they are paying. So we think that this clearly, very, very easily summarizes how the customer can choose the best insurance policy for them. The way we would upsell this kind of insurance premium is that we will give away a lot of free giveaways. Why? Because these customers respond very, very well to this kind of incentive. They respond very well to free giveaways. For motorcycle loan customers, we'll give them 300 baht worth of gas coupon. Why? Because they are drivers, right? They always need to refuel themselves. So this gas coupon will be very helpful to them. But more important and more strategically is that for our car customers, we will give them car cameras to put in front of their car, and then when they get into an accident, this car will record what happens. This can help Limited Law promote itself as one of the fastest and most responsive car insurance in the country, because our car camera will be equipped with GPS tracker and also shock analyzer. Therefore, suppose that two car crashes, the shock analyzer will receive a signal and then transform the signal to us immediately that, hey, this car has gone into an accident, so Limited Law can immediately respond to our customer. So this can create a value proposition that the customer can have a convenient access to insurance coverage and don't have to worry about if the law will come at the rescue when they are having an accident. So to summarize, this recommendation tries to, number one, easing up the process of transfer of the money around the country fund population, and number two, try to make insurance policies much simpler and much easier for these people.
A business cannot survive in the long run with good reputation and consistency in service. So we're looking at the first thing is the first part of the web market. The characteristic of web market is try to delay that loan repayment. So the first thing we use is we try to starting from web market.
Okay, so we see that the characteristic of web market merchants is that they have low and irregular income, and they try their best to make as much money and take any loan they want. But so that we have to collect the money, the interest repayment daily, so that they have the discipline enough to repay us. But this creates costs because it is very labor intensive. Therefore, what we try to do is we try to stimulate these web market merchants to repay interest on their own. How? Using Buntan machine. Buntan machine is a fintech, a financial technology that allows the transfer of money across the country very cheaply. And we try to do this by having our employee try to walk them through the process of making repayment. The benefit that our web market trader will receive from paying the money by themselves is that you'll get a 3% reduction or a 3% reduction in interest repayment. We will tell them exactly how much they will pay using a line message or text message daily, and then the customer will have to go to Buntan machine to repay it themselves. If we can do this for 30 days without skipping a payment, on the 30th day, on the end of the month, we'll also give them 5% cash back of the entire amount of money they paid during the month. This is a reward for them being such a good and highly disciplined customer for our web market initiative. More importantly, to the previous customers who have had a very good credit history, these people work in the web market and they know exactly how the people in the web market respond. They also know about the nature of the merchants, the fellow merchants. So we will stimulate them by making them our agent, and they can earn 5% commission of referring new customers to us. The process is that these previous customers will refer new customers to us and we'll go and approve the loan. Suppose the new customer is approved, then the previous customer is responsible for making sure that the new customers are paying interest. If the new customers are paying the new interest daily, then the referrer also gets 5% of the total amount as well, because they are responsible for making sure the payment are being made. And more importantly, it's about our employees, right? Because we're expanding our branches very rapidly, we have to find a way to effectively train new people to qualify to our service. And we try to do this using a train, test, and retain strategy. On the train method, we try to come up with the best way, the most efficient way of training new employees. We will train these new employees, these new recruits, for 1 month inside our headquarters. But then for the next month, on the second month, we will send these new interns to real Limited Law branches to be supervised by real Limited Law employees. These employees at the real branch will have to find a way to teach these new interns the most practical things to do when they're working for Limited Law. And after 1 month has finished, we will subject all these new interns into a very, very rigorous test. And for those employees who pass very satisfactorily, the branch who came up with a way to teach these employees will be financially rewarded, and the person will also be promoted as well. We also have the retain strategy of having weekly conferences about what happened during the week, so that the management knows what happened, and also monthly we also have a randomized scenario analysis to let employees go in and then ask what happened during difficult situations. So this concludes our recommendations, and for the financials, we believe that with all the three strategies implemented, we can grow the revenue of Limited Law from a CAGR of 25% yearly to about 33.1% yearly within the next 3 very welcome to answer all of your questions you may have. Thank you.
So first question is about the application, right? So if happens so that everyone have access to internet, the mobile phone, develop so fast, everyone start out using it. So you kind of like how do you control the default rate?
Default rate.
Yeah, before how do you go so big, so fast? How do you make sure that you don't give out bad news to the wrong people? That is all the problems.
Okay. Well, first of all, good morning and thank you for the question. What we try to do with our application is that we try to make loan application process much simpler and much faster. However, we still subject these loan approvals to a very rigorous test. But instead of using our employees to analyze the credit quality of these customers by just talking to them, by just looking at the cars, by just looking at the registration numbers, we will use an algorithm to do so. And we think this is a very efficient way to do because there are a lot of financial technology companies that are trying to do this. For example, there is Lending Club in the US, there's Prosper, there are a lot of these financial technology companies around the world that are using algorithms to analyze the credit ratings of any person who just apply, just register on the website and try to apply for loan. So those algorithms are effective. The NPL rate for those payment platforms, as they call, are about around 1 to 3%, and that's reported by these companies. So we think that it is possible. And by encouraging people to use Facebook to log in, we can have access to even further and deeper information about them. For example, the friends they associate with, the high school they were educated at, the work they are doing, things like that. So this gives us a very in-depth knowledge of the person, and we can better analyze and have much more data points to analyze, and even having our employee talk to the customers. Okay.
So what's the penetration rate of mobile phone in this 14 million uncapped population? Like how many of them have mobile phone, have Facebook, have, you know?
Well, mobile phone penetration rate in Thailand is around 70%. And to these people, most of them have at least a basic phone. So that is why we have to have line of direct contact, also text messages as well, because we are very, very aware that these people might not have enough money to have, let's say, an iPhone or Samsung, things like that. So we also have, for example, line account. This one, we also utilize social networks because they are easier to access than the application, because our application might not work on their phone, but line probably will. So this gives higher engagement, higher penetration rate to our customers.
And on your strategy on the Bloomberg machine, is it operated by the law, or do you plan to acquire it from other fintech company like you mentioned? How do you plan for this model?
If there any market that don't have Bloomberg machine, the company can buy or purchase and set them in any place of market that the customer located.
So meaning the machine is currently available now in Thailand?
Yes.
Let me add on to that. Buntam is a financial technology company as well, and it's the yellow kind of thing machine that you can just walk in and pay the money. You can do a lot of things with Buntam. You can pay for your bills, you can pay for your mobile phone fees, you can transfer the money even. The way that Buntam operates is that they solicit investors to purchase these Buntam machine and put in places. The investor has to pay upfront 12,480 baht for the machine, but the investors will get about 3% commission forever. And there's also lifetime maintenance for free, so we don't have to care about maintaining the machine. We just have to take care about who will come in and transfer the money using Buntam machine. So even though we say that we reduce lower the amount of money that web market traders have to pay by 3%, but we still get a commission of about 2 to 3% from the machine anyway. So we don't think that that is a significant cost to us. And if other people in the area, for example, the local people, the localities, are trying to transfer making any other transactions, we also get commission on top of that as well. So to summarize, there are Buddha machines available around the country already, but it is still not entirely penetrable. So if there are any markets that still lack of these machines, we'll put in place one.
I think I like your parable of being thirsty
Thank you.
about water compared to alone. I think what you have tried to frame the problem is the accessibility of our brand, our product to the people. So I see that you try to fix the distribution problem using mobile, the awareness of the product through medium. As you have read in the case, we are competing with shop houses, but there are also great competitors who have a lot of money to spend. So the question is, I think the mobile application and also giving premium away could be easily copied by competitors. So how are you going to cope with the situation? For example, if you do whatever you have recommended, the competitors are copying. So how will you handle the situation?
Okay. So the question is about how do we prevent copyists, right, of our strategies. Well, first of all, mobile phones. That is the question I ask myself as well when I look into Prosper and Think Hub. Because every single person, every single company that does on payment platform talks about their proprietary algorithm to validate the loan. So we think that a lot of people does this algorithm, but it depends on how do we come up with this secret algorithm that gives us the insight into the customer's credit rating and to approve the loan effectively. So I think this one is people will copy the mechanism, but they will not know exactly how we will do it. And that takes time of the application. But on a more important side of dealing with premiums and insurance business, well, I would say that other companies can simply do it, they can just copy it. The problem with them is that they don't have enough reach and they don't understand customers as much as we do, especially if they were big banks. Because big banks don't care about these customers or else they would have not been unbanked or underbanked, right? Because the banks see that these customers are too small for them and banks see that these customers are not worthy of their time. But we in Bitlaw try to serve this particular customer segment, and we have very, very higher in-depth knowledge about them, and we have higher reach, higher coverage, and we are seen as being more friendly to them in the eyes of the quality. So even though other competitors try to copy our same mechanism, trying to copy the same way of giving away premium, we said this will have a higher competitive advantage of having higher reach and being the first in the market to do so.
I have a question on the adoption of the digital strategy to this target segment. As we know that the target segment of Bitlaw is more like a very mass segment with lower income and maybe less educated than normal people who are using like social media and digital communication. How do you think that you can communicate to them what is this application is, and how do you plan to introduce this into this target segment? Because we are not so sure whether they have enough knowledge on this or not.
Well, for this question, we are trying to, it's actually for these people to have a chance of winning something is very, very marketable. And so we are advertising our application to these people they already have mobile phone that initially have line accounts. It's really presentable in the market right now. So we are just trying to advertise our application and our line official account for them to download the application and to add the line official account using the goal. And we can use our poster board in the web market, for example, and also in the internet. Yes.
Just to give you a clearer picture of the nature of these web market traders. Well, suppose that you have on a piece of paper saying that come to us and we give you free money. Every single person, every single merchant will come directly to us. And no matter how long they have to wait, they will wait. Because they need the money, they want the money, that's their nature. So even if you put on a piece of paper, come to us, download the app, get the goal, they will definitely do it. And just to give you a clear picture of how much these people like gold, I've experienced this firsthand when I talked to an owner of a gold shop. He said, suppose that a person is working, a person say from Russian army is working inside Bangkok, and every year when they go back home, they have to stop at Moshik station to buy a piece of gold, any piece of gold, and they even make a loan, they even borrow cash to purchase the gold. And when they go back to their rural province, they would just show everything. Look, I have the gold. And when they are coming back to Bangkok again, they will resell that gold even at a loss, even at a lower price, because gold is just something they value very, very much. So that's why we use gold as incentive. We also have another evidence of looking at several TV programs, television programs, when they draw the price, and all the time, most of the prices are gold because these people simply just like gold. And I think the law application line account today has several hundred thousand users already. So we think that even these people have penetration is penetrable using line.
Let me have some characteristic of the web market people. Web market people love to chit chat and spread the news so fast. So if one can get the goal from at line or whatever activity from the law, they will talk together among the market, among the family, neighbor, friends, and everything. So this is the one way that we have the advantages that we can access to them directly. So this way that can use that specifically characteristic to promote the digital and mobile things.
Can you go to the financial?
To walk you through this, we made a full-year revenue projection. We also did the cost associated with each strategy, with each recommendation. We also find positive profit after reducing accounting for increasing revenue, but also decreasing the increasing cost already. And this is the revenue projection for 4 years. Revenue projection. Yeah.
And our recommendation was to
Yes, right. So this one would be the applications, this one would be the transaction insurance, and this one would be the web market program.
So the biggest bet is
The application. Yeah.
the other slide on the financial.
So I can't hear you.
Other slide on the financial.
That's just this one. Okay.
But anyway, if you're concerned about risk, analytics, you can
Or if you're concerned about the cost drivers or revenue drivers.
So just to back up every recommendation with a number, so just want to look for some return on investment type thing. Plus things like do this app, give out the goals and see how it comes around. So initially to make this practical like this is very costly. If not done right, a lot of fun. So I was looking for some sort of backup coverage of that.
But the question we have to ask that, even though it's costly, but it's worth investing. Because only once you give the goal for only one customer, then they wise place the news, and you get many customers. So it's kind of long run investment.
So, in summary of your presented ideas, how do you think that the law needs to, what is the current the model that the law is using, what do they need to change, and what should they continue making?
Okay.
Example.
So as we presented in the first speaker, I think the core value the law currently has is easy access, meaning they have good access with, especially the unbanked population who really can't go to the banks. So this is ease. Second one is also the speed. They can approve loan very, very quickly. This is a very important key value proposition. But what they have to change is streamlining operations, as we said in the third recommendation, because because for example, having the employee going to the wet market and collecting money every day is very, very costly, which we can substitute for these employees using financial strategy. So to summarize, we think one of the most important things is to integrate more technology, to be more innovative of using these kind of new innovations to help streamline operations, and also create new financial services that target these customers by being relevant to them, knowing exactly what they need and what are their psychology, what their nature, what they are capable of and what they are not capable of. And that is our second recommendation. So we appreciate very much for your time this morning.